Your ability to earn money, to provide value to the marketplace and solve problems for other people is how you will be able to make money.
In this video, we are going to analyze how I would invest $1,000 if I were in my 20s by Alex Hormozi. So if right now you're in your 20s, you have $1,000 or even less to invest. Your goal is to make anywhere from $10,000 a month all the way up to $100,000 a month. Where should you start? What should you invest in the first place to reach your goal? You know what? Let's find out.
I guarantee you that you will be making more than people who have 4-year degrees. You'll probably start making money by the end of the first year. I was at Brooke's house, and she had 7 20 to 23-year-olds at her house. No cap. One morning, one of the guys was up early, and he was like, hey, right now I've got $1,000 extra. Like, where do you think I should invest it? I've got my 401k, and I've got, whatever stuff, and it was cute. It was so interesting to me because, he was looking for an investment vehicle that was going to yield him a return. I want to be very clear about this. If you invest in the S&P 500, real estate, things like that, and you start really early and you do it for a long period of time, you absolutely will make money.
That's completely true. Technically speaking, if you ask me, can everyone become a millionaire or have a 6-figure net worth? The answer is yes, absolutely. And I'm not selling you a dream. I'm not over-exaggerating things. You can literally take anyone. If they know how to invest in the stock market or in real estate, over time, their assets are going to gain value. And by the end of that 50, 60, 70-year period, they will have made $1 million or $2 million. So they will be worth $1 million or $2 million. They'll be technically speaking millionaires. And oftentimes I'm going to crap on the people who say that you should invest $200 a month in the stock market for 50 years straight and then maybe retire with $1 million or $2 million in the bank. And the reason why I typically don't like this kind of advice, and I usually make fun of it, is because if you're like me, you want to enjoy your wealth while you're young. Because you understand that when you're 60, it's great if you're a millionaire. By any means, it's better to be a millionaire than to be poor, no matter the age. However, when you are younger, in your 20s or in your 30s, you can just do so much more stuff with your money. You can enjoy it in a way that you simply could not when you're retired. Now, fair enough, the average millionaire is 57 years old. So what does it mean? Does it mean we're all screwed? We have to wait until we're 50 years old to make at least $1 million? You see, there is a very interesting phenomenon that has been happening in the last recent decades, and I've been studying it very closely. More and more people have been becoming millionaires in their 20s or even in their 30s. And the only reason that's possible, it's not because of real estate or because they invested $300 a month in the stock market every month since they started working. It is because of social media and of internet. And precisely it is because these people who became millionaires in their 20s, even before 25, it's because they started an online business. And that business was cash flow producing, meaning they didn't have to put in much money to start the business and to keep it running. But at the same time, that business, it's producing a lot of money. That's why we call these cash flow businesses, because you don't need that much money to get started, and they typically bring in a lot of money. Profit margins are very high, essentially, even as you scale the business up. To give you an example, with e-commerce, you'd be lucky if you get 5 to 20% profit margins. However, with a service-based online business, your profit margins could be up to 98% when you're first starting, and as you scale, they will never drop below 50%. That is if you do things right. So while you will absolutely make money if you invest in real estate or in the stock market over a long period of time, over decades, is this the way that you should go about building wealth or investing $1,000? In my opinion, absolutely not. Because to be honest with you, if you only have $1,000 and you invest them all, let's say in the stock market, sure, the next year you will have made some more money. But let's be honest, $1,000, it is nothing. You're not going to see a change in your quality of life simply because you invested $1,000 in the stock market. And if you wanted to invest it in crypto, it's the same thing. And let's not even talk about real estate. With $1,000, you're not going to be able to invest in real estate. Honestly, do not believe all this stuff that you hear on the internet about no down payment deals or risk-free real estate opportunities, because that simply does not exist. Sure, you can leverage the money of the bank by getting a loan to buy some real estate properties, and they will grow your net worth and your wealth. However, personally, my goal, it was to have zero debts. Even if technically speaking, if you buy an asset with a debt, it's considered to be good debt because you're investing in an asset that is going to improve your financial future. But even then, I wanted freedom more than I wanted money, because the thing is that most people, they mix the two together. In reality, just because you have money, you're not always free. If you're a CEO, an executive, you make 6, even maybe 7 figures a year. You get lots of bonuses, you're very rich, and most people, they look at you and they think you have the perfect life. But in reality, you're miserable deep down because you work 80 to 90 hours a week, you've got no time for your hobbies, for your friends, for your family, and all you want is more free time. I mean, I can guarantee that right now, every billionaire in the world, which crossed the 60-year-old mark, they would trade half of their wealth to be literally 20 years old all over again. And that goes to show you that what matters more than money, it's the time that you have, the freedom that you have. Because at the end of the day, I would rather make 6 figures a year and have all the free time in the world, all the freedom in the world, as opposed to making 7 or even 8 figures. But at the same time, I've got no free time and all I do is just work. I mean, I'm sure that you can see in that situation, there is no point in making that much money.
It is a very safe way to live life. But the moment you start investing in kind of the asset side of stuff, which is like the S&P, stocks in general, and you're not day trading or doing any of that stuff because that's stupid. The moment you do that is actually the moment, in my belief, that you're actually ceasing to want to make more income.
I don't necessarily agree with this, because the way that rich people, they stay rich and they become even richer is by investing in real estate, in the stock market. Sure, they can start other companies, but what a lot of rich people do is that first they started a business, they made a lot of money with it, so it was very successful, and then of course they kept reinvesting in the business to grow it, and it creates this kind of positive feedback loop or compound effect, and so they keep growing the business more and more year after year. And that's how some people, they have a business, they sell it for $1 billion. I mean, if Mark Zuckerberg were to sell Meta, or like Facebook, he would walk away with so much money, he wouldn't even know what to do with it. The same thing is true with Jeff Bezos. If he sold Amazon, he would have so much money, he wouldn't even spend it all in a lifetime. But as you can see, billionaires are not billionaires because they have invested in a few rental units, or because they have invested $200 a month in the stock market for 50 years straight. Even if you look at Warren Buffett, that's not how he invested. He has a much more profound strategy than just that, and he has active roles in each of the companies that he's investing into. He is not your average stock market investor. However, like I said, when somebody has that successful business, they can then leverage some of the capital generated with that business and use it to invest in other things like real estate, stock market investments, sometimes even cryptocurrencies, although I don't recommend going into the crypto NFT world because honestly most people are going to lose everything. I would much rather invest in secure assets that bring tangible value to the table. Like if you invest in real estate, will people still need shelter in 50 years? Of course they will. And then with the stock market, you can invest in companies that bring real value to the world, sectors that you know will flourish and keep growing in the future. But if you've got $1 million, it's great, and you might think, wow, I'm rich, I never have to work again. Trust me, that's not true, because $5 million is the new $1 million. Now sure, it depends on what kind of life you want to live. For some people, $1 million, it's all they want, but for others, it's quite literally pennies. But the goal is to start that online business that brings in a lot of cash flow, and then maybe use the money generated with that business to start a bigger company that has a much higher potential. So with that cash flow business, you can take it to a couple $1 million a year, and then if you wanted to make even more money, you can start another company, which is going to require a lot of startup capital, like let's say a software company, but that cash flow business, it allows you to start this other venture without having to take out a loan or without having to require investors. So you've got a lot more control over how you run your own company because you have sole ownership of it. But what you can also do when you make 10 to 100k per month with your business is that of course you reinvest into it to scale it if you want to make more money, but then also you take some of the profits generated by your business and you invest them, let's say, in the stock market. And then the goal is to live off of your dividends. So you would do the math and invest as much money as you need in the stock market so that your monthly dividends, they completely pay for your lifestyle. Because if you've got $1 million in the bank and let's say the inflation rate per year is 10%, if you don't do anything with that money, you don't invest it in any assets year after year, you are just losing $100,000. Whereas if you invested it in, let's say, a stock, and that stock gains 10% in value per year, and so you invest $1 million every year, you would get 10%, which is $100,000. So you would keep becoming richer and increasing your net worth and of course the quality of your life. However, it is a very slow way to gain wealth. You need to have a lot of capital to invest in real estate or in the stock market for it to be noticeably changing your life. So if you invest $1,000, it's not really going to do anything for you.
Hear me out. If you're 18 years old and you graduate high school tomorrow, you are now eligible on the marketplace because you have no skills besides your high school diploma. You did no job, fucked off the whole time, don't watch YouTube to learn stuff, which is not you, but just imagine. In 2 days, you could go and become certified as a phlebotomist and go from making $7.50 or whatever the minimum wage is to what phlebotomists make at $25 an hour. You would triple your earning capacity after 2 days and spending $500. If you can triple your income for the rest of your life, the $500 certification in 2 days, do you think it's worth the investment? Probably. And so the problem is that people think about the biggest investment as the stuff that they take their money and they put it into. And I'm going to be trite right now. Your ability to earn money, to provide value to the marketplace and solve problems for other people is how you will be able to make money.
Do you know how businesses make money? And you may say they sell stuff to people. Of course they do. But when you take a closer look, a business is simply solving people's problems. When you go to the grocery, you buy some food. They are solving a problem for you, which is that you're hungry, you need food to eat. When you rent a flat, an apartment, the landlord is solving a problem for you. You need shelter. When you buy a book to learn how to cook better meals, the book is solving a problem for you. You want to become a better cook. And that's why when people start a business around their passion, oftentimes they're going to fail in that business. At least that's personally what I've seen. Because they are simply going to focus on the wrong metrics. They will focus on what they want, on what they love, on selling something that they want. But they never even bothered to ask themselves, do people even want this thing that I have to offer? And if the answer is no, I'm sorry to say it, but you will not make any money. You see, a lot of people, when they want to start a business, they look at things the wrong way. They see a market which has a problem, and because they don't have the skills to fix that problem, they think, well, I cannot solve that problem for them. So you know what? I may as well not start a business. And at first you might think, well, it makes sense. If you cannot solve a problem for a market, how could you provide a solution for them? But this is where leverage comes in handy. Remember, you can either leverage somebody's skills, somebody's time, or the capital of somebody else, like of investors, of the bank, of another company, or you can leverage artificial intelligence, machines, systems, processes, automations. So if you yourself do not have the skill to solve the problem of a market, you could find somebody who does and pay that person. So essentially, to give you an example, you would find a business, let's say they need lead generation services, but you don't know how to provide that service. You can still get on a call with that business, sell them the service, and then you go and hire somebody to do the work for you. And the beauty with this kind of business model is that you will only spend money once you have earned money already. You're not going to pay somebody to do some work if you haven't been paid by the client before. So it's not a risk-free opportunity, but you limit the risk that you take by a lot. And also the other thing that you need to understand is that depending on the level of complexity of the problem that you solve for people, you'll be able to charge more or less money. And so what I mean by that is that if you solve a painful problem for people, you will be able to price it for a higher price than if you solved a problem which is not that painful. To give you an example, what's the difference between the price of a restaurant meal and the price of a surgery? How come the surgery is so much more expensive? Because it requires more skills, more time, and because it solves a much deeper problem. If somebody needs a life-saving surgery, they will go out of their way to find the necessary funds to be able to pay for it. So what should you invest your $1,000, your $100, whatever it may be? You should invest it in your knowledge, because the more you learn, the more you earn. And this quote, believe me, it is entirely true. I would not be where I am today making this video if I hadn't learned so many things from books, courses, and videos on YouTube, for instance. And you need to realize that you don't know what you don't know. Most people, when they get out of university and they get a job, they think that the learning curve is over. They can just relax, sit back, they don't have to push themselves and keep learning. However, if you want to make more money and you have a job, let's say, usually it is going to require that you upgrade your skill level. Like, what's the difference between a lawyer who doesn't make much money and a lawyer who makes a lot of money? It's the difference in skill, in experience. And the only way you bridge that gap from not making much money to making a lot of money is by having more skills that are higher value. And the way that you improve your skills is with knowledge, time, and effort. You don't know what you don't know. If you start a business tomorrow, but you have no clue what to do, you don't even have a plan, it's very likely that you will fail that business. And if you start it all on your own, you don't even do any research beforehand, you're going to make so many mistakes along the way that if you simply did research, you read books, you bought online courses, you watched YouTube videos, you would be able to avoid those mistakes or to go through them so much faster and with so much more ease. I can't even tell you the number of books, of YouTube videos, of podcasts, and of courses I've been through. Now, when people say that knowledge is power, I agree. However, they always forget one essential part of the equation. It's only power if you ruthlessly apply the knowledge that you learned, because you could know everything about business, at least the theory of it, but if you never go ahead and start your business or apply what you learn, then what's the point of learning it all in the first place?
There's the value of the problem that you solve and what you charge for it. The bigger that number is, the more you can charge. That gap between their old problem and the solution, that value, is the percentage that you can take and put in your pocket.
This is exactly what I've told you with the example of the life-saving surgery. The more painful the problem is that you solve for people, the more money you can charge for it. It's that simple. Being an entrepreneur is all about solving problems, and in fact, solving other people's problems. And typically in business, you can either solve a problem for a few people and charge a high price for it, you bring a lot of value to a few select group of people, think about Ferrari, or you provide some value to a large group of people for a cheap price, think Amazon, think Netflix.
Your earning capacity is going to be the thing that generates you wealth. Do you want to be smart with your money and save it? Absolutely, because that gives you way more that you can play with. But when you're 20, even when you're 30, and in my belief, whatever age you are, I believe that you should take all of the excess money, live as cheap as you can, take 100% of that excess money and invest it in education that increases your earning capacity.
Most people, when they think, I want to invest $1,000, $2,000, they think investing it in some crypto BS coin, some NFT that they don't even know about, or real estate or the stock market, because they want passive income. You know, they just want to sit back, relax, and watch the money flood their bank account. In reality, that's not how things work. I believe that you can get rich quick. However, get rich easy? Not really. So remember, invest in your education first.
Because what happens is when you take that money, like that phlebotomy course, right? And you take $25 an hour times 2,000 hours a year, you're now at a $50,000 a year income. Cool. If I can live on 20, because I'm 20 years old and I can live with buddies and we can eat ramen soup and whatever, and I got 30 left over, after taxes 25, whatever. 25 grand can buy you a lot of education.
And that education that you bought, it can now allow you to access money much higher levels of wealth. But you've got to start somewhere. At the beginning, when you start a business or you start a job, you'll have to trade a lot of your time for money. I know that in many YouTube videos, you will hear that if you trade your time for money, or if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you'll always be poor. And there is a lot of truth to this advice. However, what these same people forget to tell you is that what you do at level 1, it's not the same thing that you do at level 100. Just like what gets you to $5,000 a month is not the same thing that will get you to $1 million a month. In the game of life, in the game of business, there are different levels. And at each level, you'll need to do different things to get different outcomes. When you start your own online business, typically you will be the one doing all of the work. But then as you grow that business, as you get more and more customers, you'll be able to delegate more stuff, you'll be able to invest in better softwares, to automate things, and you'll be able to free up a lot of your time like that. And what would you do with that free time if you want to make even more money? You learn again and again, and then you apply what you've learned, and you'll be able to reach other levels of wealth. Again, it's kind of always the same game, just played in different ways.
I would rather you, or I would rather me, or somebody who's 20 or somebody who's 30 take $2,000 a month, because that's what 25 grand is, and invest it in courses, coaching, mentorships, workshops, and seminars. Every month, I'm putting that 2K. Now, you could put 2K into one opportunity because you're like, dude, I think real estate's cool. Cool. We're not doing real estate as my passive income. We're doing real estate as I'm going to get into the real estate game and I'm going to make it my active income. And by the way, everybody who builds their wealth in real estate are actively spending their time in real estate. Don't believe what they're saying. They're like, dude, I did this deal and I made X amount of money. It's like, what was the process of finding deals? How many deals did you look at? How many conversations did you have? How many buildings did you walk? How many different general contractors did you?
When some people say that, oh, you can just invest in real estate without any risks. Like, look, it's a no down payment opportunity. Do not believe those clowns. Real estate is a full-time job. You're not going to become a millionaire by just buying some stuff and you don't really look after it. It's an active job. And that is why if you want to get to $10,000 a month, all the way up to $100,000 a month, your best option is to start your own online service-based business. So if you want to discover what's the best online business to start, I have recorded a free video in which I analyze every popular online business model. Together we take a look at the pros, at the cons, and I'm also going to share with you the 3-step process that you can use to start landing your first customers literally today. If you're interested, the link is in the description below. And with that said, as always, I am waiting for you on the other side.